The Susan Brender Show is a radio show online broadcasted on YouTube across the United States and globally. The show features guests who speak about health, spirituality, entertainment, and a host of subjects to enlighten people across the nation. Listen to the show that empowers women and men alike and highlights those who have made a difference.
Mama, why am I black?
You are created from the best of your mother and father. This is why you are so smart and handsome. This is also why you have beautiful dark skin like Dad and red hair with blue eyes like me. Now come here and give me a hug. I love you.
We love you, Iskindar.
Hello, I'm Susan Brender, and this is the Susan Brender Show. I am so pleased to have Amos Knoll on my show today, a man who is the CEO and founding father of Knoll Publishing Company. He is a genius who's written books that everybody will appreciate, and particularly stories that really tell a lot about different ethnicities and different people. And I want to welcome Amos Knoll to the Susan Brender Show. And he's going to talk about his new book and how it relates to the whole notion of Black Lives Matter. Amos, it's a pleasure to have you on my show.
It's a pleasure being invited by you, Susan.
So let's talk a little bit about the new book and what inspired you to do it.
Well, just look at the news events. Just watch television. All you hear is discrimination, racism, systemic racism. It's ridiculous. It's not, because most Americans couldn't care less who you are. If they hire you because you can do the job. It's as simple as that. But for political reasons, they keep on constantly finding excuses, basically, to say you're racist. For me, this is a sign of ignorance. Ignorance people do that.
I'm going to interrupt you because I didn't tell the audience that you are the CEO and founder of Knoll Publishing, who's written how many books? Amos, tell our audience how many books you've written.
46.
46. Now, tell me that's not amazing. But this book in
It's
particular,
not amazing.
but this book in particular is very special because you're really relating issues of today with your book for children. And I think that's an absolutely wonderful idea. So let's go back for a second. Now, in this particular age, and you have a little grandson who really needs to know a lot because you really write a lot about him and he wants to understand it. So tell our audience again, what is the actual story about? And again, how does it relate to today?
The story is about a Jewish woman who's white, blonde hair, blue eyes, marries a black man from Ethiopia, and they have a child. The child has red hair, coincident like Max, my grandson, and has red hair like his mother and blue eyes and dark skin like his father. And he asks his mother, logical question, Mama, why am I black? And she explains to him and she says, Iskindar, you were made from the best of your mother and your father. That's why you're handsome and you're so smart. That's what the book is about. So in other words, always be proud of what you are. If you're black, be proud you're black. If you're white, be proud you're black. If you're Chinese, be proud you're Chinese. You are what you are. God or nature, whatever you want to call it, created you a certain way. The genes keep on changing you because of the environment you live in. Dark skin has a purpose. White skin has a purpose. As a matter of fact, if you want to be technical, the white, from things that I've read, it's really more of a mutation. So originally, we must have been all black. And yet, every white person, male, has a black gene in him. That's the funny part. So when you talk about systemic racism in America, it's BS. It really is. Do you have people that hate people? Of course you do.
Sure.
Do you have rich people hating poor people? Some do. In religion, take the Muslims. You have two different beliefs. They hate each other.
Right.
Same thing, you have the Hasidic Jews and the liberal Jews. You have it all over, but it doesn't make it systemic. And I think the best example you have, if we would be a systemic racism country, you would never have a president by the name of Barack Obama.
Good point.
You know,
very good point that you're making here. But I want to tell you a funny story. I don't know if you remember, there was a movie with Steve Martin, and he was raised by a black family.
Yes.
You remember that?
Yeah.
Well, one day he looks in the mirror and he says, "Oh my God, I thought I was black. I thought I was black." And he found out that he was really white. But when you're raised by a family who has a certain kind of, say, cachet or a certain kind of personality, then you adapt it. And that's what happened with Steve Martin. He thought he was black and he was proud of it, and he was white. So, Amos, when you talk about these kinds of things to children, when you tell them there's no systemic racism, it's all about people liking people or sometimes not liking them. It's just the way it is. It's not about necessarily bias. Am I right?
100%.
Yeah. So with that in mind, tell us a little bit more about the book, because I think there's more to it than you've told us already.
I'll give you two examples. One about, can you see me if I pick up the book? That's the book, Mama, Why Am I Black? And the reason you see half and half with the book is because when the mother explains to the boy how good Mother Nature is, she said if you would be half black and half white, divided in half, people will criticize you. Are you white or are you black? But Mother Nature puts you together with the right tone of colors so you come out nice and brown. And this is the whole message in the book. You got to believe in and be happy of what you have and make the best of it. And you know something, they have many, and it's in the book, by the way. I made a collage of different, very successful black people. They made it in spite of some prejudice you have, no question about it. We cannot use the values we had 100 years ago, 150 years ago, going back to the slaves. We evolved. We evolved and we learned that people are people. We cry the same, we laugh the same, we give birth or life the same. All of us.
Yeah.
And the different shades, it's just like you have brown skin, you can have blue eyes, brown eyes, hazel eyes, whatever it is. That's the message I'm trying to say to the kid. It's like in the book, my other book, like in this book, Max and the Red-Headed Dragon. Can you see it? That book has a message. Don't judge people by the color, gender, lifestyle, or the way they look. Judge people only what's in the heart and what's in the mind. And this book basically, Mama, Why Am I Black, has also, this message is also included. But this book is more than just a book. When you open the book, I'm talking about the hard copy book, okay? When you open the book, because one of the chapter has to do with the woman's right to vote. And the book basically starts with Moses leaving Egypt. Then it talks about King David. Now, King David was white, and his wife was a woman of color. They had a son called King Solomon. He was really a mixture already, intermarriage, and he married the Queen of Sheba. Then he goes down, the book keeps on going down, and it goes through after the king, it goes to the Civil War, where we freed the black people. But just by freeing them, didn't give them the freedom, because they had all the laws which were against them. and people hated them. Yeah.
Alice, let me ask you something. If you were to take the book to a school, okay, and tell the teacher what it's all about and why you wrote it, do you think that they would incorporate it into their curriculum? Because right now they're doing something called critical theory, which means that all of the kids, regardless of any ethnicity, have to take a course that teaches them all about the blacks, the African Americans. Now, is that fair? Because you're talking about people liking each other. You're talking about people relating to one another. The situation is a real catastrophe at the moment, but I'm just curious again, if you were to bring this to the school, what would you tell them that is so important?
Few people told me, and by the way, the black people told me, is almost you got to get it over to the school. You got to get it over to the black churches. You got to get it out because it's also a history book. One of the pictures in the book, see that? Whoop. Okay, it says on it, that's a vintage picture. It says on it, women bring all voters into the world. Let women vote. That's from women's suffrage, okay? And the whole book is basically based on, it's a history book. And then it goes into the civil rights movement. And it says, yes, the black people had the freedom, but the laws were not for them. And then he had Martin Luther King, who basically helped unite it and pass all the laws you have today. The government can only do so and so much. They can pass the laws. If the law says you cannot discriminate, that's great. But the parents have to teach it to the children. And the teachers have to teach it to the children. And the kids must believe it. And the kids will believe it if you tell them the truth. But if you tell them lies, they will believe that too. So it really has a lot to do with education. We are creating our future heroes. And I'm not talking about war now. I'm talking about heroes in society. You can be anything you want to in America. But if you want to be a champ, whether it's a doctor, a lawyer, an astronaut, a pilot, a butcher, a plumber, electrician, you have to work for it. And it's hard work. And if you don't get the encouragement from your parents, you will pick it up from the kids on the street. So it's very important. And this is why this book itself, I think, will be tremendously successful from the response I have been getting. And I'm getting a lot of compliments, and quite a few people told me I must get it over to the school. Right now, you can find the book on Amazon, Mama, Why Am I Black? I have some other books on it. And you can find it on Kindle. And the hard copy, the one I showed you, by the way, it's the back of the book. The hard copy is being printed up now. It's going to take about 60, 90 days. But I designed the book more as a keepsake book, something that you want to hold on and people can relate to it. And so far, I don't want to blow my own horn, but really, without exception, everybody loved it.
So, Amos,
yes,
when you have your wish come true and you get into the schools and you really have a discussion with all the kids about bias, about prejudice, do you feel that you've accomplished what you've really started out doing? Because it's a book that really covers the love and the hope and the dreams that everybody in the United States would like to have. I mean, we're talking about color, ethnicities, people really kind of relating to one another, staying together with one another, doing things for one another. Do you think that your book can help them accomplish that?
Absolutely. I have no doubt. I know when I get in front of crowds, I love to be in front of people. I enjoy it. And I love when people ask me questions. And I tell them the way I see it. If you don't like it, don't buy my books. When you talk to kids ask you very honest questions. So when I used to go to classrooms, now obviously I didn't, they ask me questions, I give them straight answers. and the kids are satisfied. I have to remember when I talk to kids, I'm talking to kids, and I have to put it in their language. So the book itself, Mama, Why Am I Black, is written. I tell you what, I was invited to an old age home. The elderly people, I keep on forgetting. I belong to that elderly people. Really,
with a very young mind.
You know something, I still feel honestly like I'm 17 and I'm very active, and I enjoy it. I enjoy writing books. I enjoy talking to people. I enjoy getting the message out. And if I can influence a lot of kids and give them the strength to believe in themselves, no matter what happens. And the best example is a few years ago, I'm now 78. I can't even believe it. It's like my hair from my head goes down to my beard, on the back and the chest. That's Mother Nature taking its course. And I feel like I'm a teenager. Mentally. Physically, yeah. I'm 6'4". I can't run the way I used to run. But I still love to talk, as you can tell. I love to inspire kids, inspire parents. And that's part of my enjoyment. And if it does influence even one kid, and it's going to give him the self-respect that she or he earned, then it was all worth it.
Well, of course it's worth it. You are really an inspiration to a lot of people, Amos, because when you talk about the feelings that people have when they learn something special, and you offer them something special in your books, they love it. And they can really change a little bit of their minds about prejudice, about bias, about all of the things that are so evil and so terrible. So with that in mind, I want to thank you for being on the Susan Brender Show. It's been a pleasure, and I want you to come back and again when you feel that you are ready to do something new. Let's talk again. Thank you again.
Susan, I have a few more books coming out, and I'll call you. We can get together.
That sounds great.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You have a nice evening.